Here to this baseball team because earlier in the season they hosted a very good Texas team and it set attendance records galore over there on the Plains. They took 2 of 3 from Arkansas this past weekend. What did you see that you liked out of this Tigers team?
That felt like a big series, Patrick, that
Mm.
Arkansas series. As you know, every weekend in the Southeastern Conference, with the rarest of exceptions, you're going to be fighting for the games are hard to win. I heard Dave Van Horn tell his team that in a post game video after the game that the Razorbacks won here at Auburn last week. But what did I like? Let's start with Jackson Sanders, and if I can get a little shameless plug in, we have a story on auburntigers.com right now about Jackson Sanders is a left-handed pitcher from Opelika, Alabama, from Valley, 25 minutes up the road, and he was Auburn's game 2 or Saturday starter. Well, because of the Easter weekend and the games last week against Arkansas being a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series, Auburn held its Tuesday starter. Andreas Alvarez has been very good. Didn't pitch him in his normal Tuesday slot, held him for Thursday. Took your lumps last Tuesday at Georgia Tech, got run ruled because you didn't have your normal Tuesday pitcher there. Well, Alvarez starts the Thursday game, strikes out 10, and leads Auburn to victory. Now you have 3 remaining starters, Jake Marciano, Alex Petrovich, and Jackson Sanders for 2 games. Marciano goes on his normal Friday start, and Butch Thompson started Alex Petrovic on Saturday in Game 3. But that meant Jackson Sanders, who'd been a very, very effective starter, was left without a start. What did he do? He said, hey, whatever I can do to help this team win. He comes in the 6th inning, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and strikes out 8, throws 4 scoreless innings against an Arkansas team that had done some damage in that series. And Butch Thompson made a big deal out of that. This is a guy who could have pouted and said, hey, why am I not starting? I earned that role.
Right.
And he said, on the contrary, whatever I can do to help this team. So let's start there. That was big. You're looking at Brandon McCrane, and there's Chase Fralick, who hit a home run. Auburn finally got some power. That is something that had been missing. But Bub Terrell, and Chase Fralick both hit home runs in the decisive Game 3 of that series. And Brandon McCrane, who is a redshirt freshman shortstop, had 3 hits. And when Auburn was trailing the deciding game of the series, there's Brandon, number 11. He was hitting at the bottom of the order. He'd been struggling a little bit. He gets a 2-run double right after Arkansas had taken a 3-0 lead that tied the game, or an inning that tied the game, and that was hugely important. So it was great to see Brandon McCrane pop out of a slump, and also Auburn to get some power. And then the pitching has been really, really good all season long. Another big series coming up this weekend against Kentucky. And then we talk about midweek games,
Yeah.
and you have a ranked matchup tonight in Jacksonville State, who's having an outstanding season. As we look at a Jacksonville State pitcher, I'm not sure of that gentleman's identity, but there's great baseball, as you know, in the state of Alabama, covering south down in Mobile, and we're looking for a big game tonight, 6 o'clock at Plainsman Park.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That's actually my alma mater right there, Jacksonville State. Proud Gamecock,
Hey!
proud Gamecock over here. They've been peacocking with the Tennessee Volunteers and West Virginia. They're doing all this winning. My boys on the diamond are getting it done. But you touched on the point that I wanted to ask you about these midweek matchups, because I feel like both Alabama and Auburn, it's really unique because when they go to play these in-state schools, UAB, Sanford, Jacksonville State, South Alabama, UNA, West Alabama, and all these other schools, it feels like it is almost a little bit added pressure because, these guys, they want to, put that hat on the rank, so to speak, that they beat Alabama and Auburn. How important are these midweek games, especially here in the state of Alabama, considering the high level that these mid-majors are?
Sure. When they're ranked like your Gamecocks are tonight,
Yeah.
certainly that matters. It helps your RPI and everything that goes along with that. But to your point, you're going to get their best punch, right? Because these are players that see themselves as D1 when they are D1, but they see themselves as SEC high major players, and maybe for whatever reason they're not currently at that level. Well, this is a chance to show that they belong at that level. So anytime you play a Sanford, a Jack State, a UAB, a South Alabama, a Troy, that it means a lot to the guys in the other dugout, and it better mean a lot to your dugout to match that energy and that intensity.